What's going on, guys? My name is Donovan, back again with another episode of the Soup Theory Podcast. Together, I am here with Devontae, and we're about to get this shit rolling. Say what's up, Devontae.
What's going on, everyone? Greetings from Madrid, Spain.
And
I'm happy to be here.
And I'm way back here in the States, in Cincinnati, Ohio, representing the 513 OH. And today we got just not too many topics, but we got like one thing that we wanted to touch on. It has to do with the Black Panther premiere and a little bit of controversy surrounding that, considering that it's going to be one of the most significant movies published by Marvel Entertainment and in the Black community in a long time, considering it has a blockbuster pattern behind it and a predominantly Black cast that is going to show Black people in a light that they necessarily haven't been seen before in the public eye. And this has a lot of people tight, bro. It has a lot of people tight. Has a lot of Black people tight. It has a lot of white people tight, and both on positive and negatives on both sides. So I just wanted to really quickly talk about how this affects the consciousness of the United States and the world in general. I just find it fascinating how Black people can come together and support this movie in such a way that everybody is in unity and everybody is in agreement on how much this means to our community. And at the same time, they can be kind of assholes about it too. It's on both sides. The people on the bigoted side that are mad that a Black cast is getting this kind of shine, and then there's people on the in the Black community that are coming at the white community, acting like they can't partake in this like significant event, and it's kind of got me confused. Like, why can't we just, as a whole, enjoy something that we all love and come together like it's supposed to be, instead of choosing sides? And that's why I don't really like the political part of it anyway, because I like to be in the middle at all times, seeing both sides of the story. Because if you're leaning more towards one side, you're going to be missing the arguments on the other side. And what's your thoughts on this, man?
Well, first of all, we got something in my eye, but
all that Black power,
all that Black power powder. Here's the thing, man. When it comes to any type of literary or film or music movement, the first question that I have is why. So with Black Panther, we have a lot of people who, in the Black community, are very excited about it because it has a predominantly Black cast. So then I take a deeper look and I say, but who's behind the film? And to be completely honest, I don't see no colored faces in the credits for producers, for editors, costume designers. So I think that in some way, it's cool that it's all predominantly Black cast. But does it really signify or mean what some have embraced it in me? Because my understanding is comes from who are financing it and the ones who are making the decisions, the ones who hold the power. And the main thing I have to say about that is I often don't see, colored folk being the first ones to want to cut a check, and put their money where their mouth is. So it's like you're cool with it being a predominantly black cast, but would you have been the ones who, you know, went to Marvel and said, look, I want stake in this. I'm willing to match whatever you put in to make this film happen. And the answer is probably no. So I think that just creates a lot of mixed intentions. It creates a lot of mixed messages. And I think that, people love to have something to talk about. So I'm not taking away from the credibility of the film. This is a big moment. You and I talked last time about the importance of heroes. This is going to give a lot of young black ladies, a lot of young black men, heroes to be able to look to in cinema and say, hey, I identify with that. That looks like me. Uh, but I'm just curious to see, how the nuances play out. You know, see a lot of the details of the characters and kind of have my own opinion of it.
Yeah, man, I think you hit on a really good point about how maybe it may mean something in the community, but who's pulling the strings? And
Mm-hmm.
it's obvious that there's a lot of people that are not of color that are pulling the strings. But at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, I'd like to counter that by saying, yeah, it's white people pulling the strings, and of course, it's a movie made to make money. Let's not get it twisted. This is about the money and that black dollar, and capitalizing off of the Marvel hype in general. Like this movie has the great reputation of being a Marvel movie going for it. And you add on top of that black dollar bill, you're gonna make it's already outgrossing or outpacing it in ticket sales any other Marvel solo film to date. So yeah, this is about the money, but at the same
And it's
time,
Black History Month.
and it's black, like really, really,
who's really got the long end of the stick here?
yeah, really. But considering all of that, there is still something to be celebrated here
Hmm. Hmm.
because, like we talked about in our previous episode, the way they portrayed the next biggest film with a black lead in it is obviously the new Star Wars trilogy, with how they had Finn in a leading role, and you see how that turned out. He just turned out to be another bumbling, fumbling, big nosed Negro in there to support the white woman and to prop up the white character. I loved The Force Awakens. You know how I felt about the Last Jedi, but the way that film had such a large influence, and the way that they showed black people or the black man in that movie, I feel like Black Panther is finally starting to counteract that. I remember when they first revealed his character in Civil War, Captain America Civil War. I'm not sure if you've seen that movie, but it was a night and day difference of how Finn was shown in The Force Awakens. He just oozed charisma the first time you saw him on screen. You were like, okay, this is a king. And they gave his character the respect that the King of Wakanda deserved. And I think that Marvel deserves some type of credit for that. Not everybody behind the scenes are these evil, racist, manipulative people
Not at
that
all. Not at all.
they're just people doing things that they're passionate about. They're people going to work doing their jobs. We can't ever discount that. We can't just assume that any person that's not black is, somehow deeply racist or has some anti-colored agenda. Just need to take it at face value for what it is. Yes, it's here to make money, but we can also choose to look at the positive side and
Yeah. Yeah.
how the positive effects can bring everybody together, and especially help the young people have heroes to look up to that look like them. So
Yeah.
that's all I'm
Yeah.
saying basically is Yeah, obviously it's here to make money, but it's also important to recognize um, the significance it's going to have and the positive effect it's going to have on the community and the nation as a whole and whoever
Absolutely.
sees this movie. So,
Well, I mean, I think this will be something exciting to revisit, maybe 2 or 3 weeks from now, and just
oh,
to kind of see how the dust settles.
I'm pulling up, man. I'm going to do my shopping this week. I'm going to buy a whole outfit. We got a whole Black Panther squad set up. Are going to pull up on the premiere. We're going to pull up on that scene looking fresh as hell. Like this is big. So yeah, I'm really excited, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, we have a similar thing going on here in Madrid. We've got a group called Melon in Madrid. Shout out to the squad. Um, and the whole idea is like, we do have a black community here, black presence, but it's pretty small. But that's a real opportunity for us to really know each other and, to really strive for some excellence. Uh, so, it isn't showing here yet, even though they say it, it is. We checked, but as soon as it's available, squad goes,
Squad.
roll up and see what it's about. But I think it's going to be a spectacular event, and it is exciting. It's very exciting. So what I'm saying is right now I'm making a choice to just kind of be neutral. I recognize it's easy to get excited about these kind of things. But I'm just going to see. I've always been that guy. I observe and then I formulate my own opinion.
That's good. That's always a good stance to have. But I think we should shift into our main topic of discussion today,
Mm-hmm.
talking
Mm-hmm.
about
Mm-hmm.
negative people and negative mindsets that follow.
Yeah. Yeah.
So recently, um, within like the past year, I remember I had a good friend I had in my life, and we would do everything together. We'd go to the movies together. We'd go talk to girls together, and but one thing I noticed is that there was always this kind of friction when it came to improvement. Like, say I wanted to go work out and do the gym, like he would always make some type of comment trying to bring it down a little bit. And just wanted to start there because having negative people in your life has a negative effect on your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's important to recognize who these negative people are. You have to be aware, or your life is going to suffer. Your goals are going to suffer, and your overall state of happiness is going to suffer.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
this is something that I had to learn the hard way, the hard way. Um, because I've always been the person to give people the benefit of the doubt. Like I've always been the person to, look at people and say, "Oh, well, they may have some redeeming qualities even though they've done some really shitty things." And I'm like, I'll give them another chance. I'll give them another chance to like, even though they may have shown me who they truly are and what their true intentions really are, maybe if I show them kindness that they'll reconsider.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, man, I just want to get your quick thoughts on negative people and how they have negatively affected your life. Your life.
Okay. So I think the place that I can start from is the G word, grace. I think that's what you're talking about. Grace is the ability to, have, like, grace requires empathy, number one. For you to be able to, kind of be more lighthearted and understanding and be willing to embrace someone who hasn't quite figured it out yet. That takes a lot of strength and courage. At the same time, I am what I would call a recovering chronic asshole. And one of those qualities that I had as an asshole was some negativity intertwined in there. And I think it's something that you never, I won't say never, but it's maybe you don't truly like completely recover from. But maybe there were some things that you experienced in your life that were difficult. And I think what it is every day that you wake up, you recommit to being better, remaining positive, and also understanding how important it is to disassociate with people who enable you to be negative. So that's kind of a place that I'm able to speak from, just that firsthand experience of like age 9 until maybe 14. I was someone who was very bitter and resentful of a lot of people in my life. And I had this idea that the world owed me something because of wrongdoing that was inflicted on me by my birth parents. And when I became a teenager, I started to realize that it was a repellent. It pushed everyone away. I started to realize that I wouldn't get invited to things. I started to realize that people didn't care to have my opinion. And all the negativity did was intensify my solitude exponentially. I wanted to be closer to people, but it made me further away from them. So now that I'm on the other side of it, bro, I can say that positivity always wins, because when you can start to fine tune your mind to recognize negativity, you start to also realize that negativity is the result of something else, which are non-supportive beliefs about yourself and others. So, number one, feeling that you are worthy of whatever it is that you're striving for in life. If you don't feel you're worthy, you're going to be negative. But when you feel that you are worthy, it is impossible to have a negative attitude, because that's all about, coming into who you want to be and truly feeling that you deserve what happens. So that's the first piece of it. And then I also see the importance of just really embracing that there is no, like, you can't love something that you hate. And you also can't hate something that you bless. So for me, when I see a lot of negativity stemming from people's fear of, going after what they want, I see a lot of it stemming from them feeling insecure. To do is to bless that which I want. So if I see someone who's like really in shape, instead of me saying, "Oh, lucky them, they must have good genes," I'm like, "Yo, bless that person for having the wherewithal to take care of their body." If I see someone who's wealthy, I'm like, "Yo, bless that man or that woman for their ability to recognize how to create value for others." And then I think when you do that, it just elevates everything else about you. You become a magnet, because that's contagious. It's very contagious. So it's just a kind of a rudimental part of my life now, and I just have reminders, the other thing about negativity is people who are negative are ungrateful. And here's why. If you focus on gratitude, there's zero room for negativity. So for me, sometimes I forget, but for the most part, I start my day with what I'm grateful about, and then also my affirmations that I say to myself in the mirror. I literally have them posted on the side, and it goes, 10 things that I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for that, and that, and it's really me having a conversation with myself about gratitude. And when I do that, how can I be positive about what I lack when I realize just how full my life really is?
How can you be negative about what you lack?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. That's
I know I said a lot there.
it's it's
So,
uh it's funny because I didn't expect you to come out saying that you were that negative person that people would push away, and you were that negative person that would like negatively impact other people. That's interesting that you were willing to bring that out, because I think that's a part of everybody. That's something that everybody has to struggle
yeah,
with.
man.
It's not about the other people. Sometimes it's about your ass being that negative person that brings everybody down. And
Yeah, bro.
I think the thing about me is when I know I'm becoming and getting into that negative thought loop that spirals down and down and down to a depression, I tend to isolate myself because I don't want to spread that
Yeah,
negativity to other people because I've had it done to
yeah,
me, and it's a shitty feeling when you have somebody that you think that you is close to you, and then their negative mindset starts to bring you down, and then next thing you know, you're depressed out of nowhere because that other person
yeah.
hurts
It's
themselves. You're like, what?
yeah,
I
it's
was over here chilling. I was over here chilling, and then next thing you know, all this darkness came. Like, what? I was in the sunlight. Like, what? Where did they do that at? But it's important for you to not only be aware of other people's negativity but your own, and that comes from the mindset like you were talking about, being grateful and having gratitude for what you have is so important. I've been listening to this dude named Anthony DeMello. I might have mentioned him last podcast, but he has been widening my understanding of awareness in general. I think the fact that we take the simple things of life and the simple facts of life for granted. We come into this world ass naked with nothing, and right then we are already complete. We leave this world not ass naked, but you know what I'm saying. We leave this world naked without nothing, and in that box, in our death,
yep,
we are complete. We have completed our
and
life
yep,
cycle. And this simple concept
and,
should guide our life throughout the entirety of it. Because if we understand that we are already whole and complete, there's nothing to
yeah,
be negative about. That's
yeah,
my roommate screaming. There's nothing to be
yeah,
negative about, all right? If you
yeah,
understand that you are already perfect in your own way, there's nothing to latch onto. And you know what the negativity and the negative mindsets come from? And the negative thinking? It's thinking about
yeah,
the things that we don't have. It's the
yeah, yeah,
desire. Okay, Anthony DeMello
yeah,
says there's two kinds of desire, and I think I said it in the last podcast too, but I'll repeat it. It's the desire, the good desire, or comes from, it's like energy. It's propelling you to do the things and reach the goals that you want to. The negative desire is
yeah,
attachment. It's
yeah,
thinking that a certain thing will make your life better. It will make you happy. You're attached to something that will bring you happiness. But we have to remember we can't live in this life of form because inside we are eternal, but outside everything's always changing. So if you're always attached to something, or if you're attached to something that is subject to change, you're
yeah,
going
man,
to suffer. So
yeah,
say,
man,
in the thing that I do, like uh, I wouldn't necessarily call it a hobby, but in the line of work that I'm trying to get into, when you're uh, trying to have success with women, you
yeah,
cannot be attached.
yeah,
This is a perfect example because women are
yeah,
subject to their own emotions. Everybody is
yeah,
subject to their own emotions. And if you attach your happiness to the approval of a woman, you're going to
doom,
suffer hella, my nigga.
doom,
Trust me. Trust me. I've been at this for like 3 years at this point, and it took me a long time to figure out that the happiness is not found in a woman. The happiness, and this is why I love women because they broaden your perspective on so much on life. You cannot attach your happiness to something that you do
yeah,
not
yeah,
control
absolutely, yeah, yeah,
because it's ever
absolutely,
changing. And your negativity comes from your negative desires. And I say negative desires because anything, like I said, anything that you're attached to is going to impact you negatively.
yeah, it controls you. I mean, if I could interject, first of all, if you're watching this and you didn't come with a notebook and a pen or your phone ready to jot down some gangster shit, you ain't ready. So I like to take notes, even in this. because there's something new that I'm learning when I'm going back and forth here with Donovan. So
Definitely.
I love how you pointed out the difference between negative and positive desire. Um, I have a friend who is Buddhist, and we sat right here in my flat the other day talking about the importance of, no, not even the importance, the difference between walking through life and trying to accumulate things for the sake of having it, and then walking through life open to receiving more so that you can leverage it to do more for others.
Mm.
And I think that this is a great representation of that. Desire that propels you toward achieving your goals, your peak state, being your best self. One important thing that I want to highlight, you also brought up, is thinking that that having more will make you feel whole. And the truth is, there are things, and that is you have to have space for it. So there are
Repeat
people
what
who
you
say
said
that
real
they
quick.
want a million.
Your audio cut out. Repeat what you said real quick.
You got it. There is a law to attracting what you want. And that is you have to have room for the thing that you want to attract. There are people who say, I want $1 million, but they don't even have the right kind of bank account set up to receive and hold and manage $1 million. You know, they don't have the knowledge to manage that kind of wealth. So what'll happen? It's like a cup. I got this Yankees cup here. I can say that I want to hold a gallon of water all I want to, but all I have room for is 14 ounces. So you have to adjust yourself to be prepared for what you actually say you want.
But the thing
And I
is,
think that,
the reason why people don't adjust themselves is
mm-hmm,
fear.
mm-hmm,
Fear, and this is something I struggle with, and everybody struggles with, is fear of fear of success, fear of thinking that you're not worthy of what you want to accomplish. And that fear makes you hold on to things that you should have let go of a long time
yeah.
ago.
So that's another thing. Whoa, making space. Yeah, going back, like the the wildest thing about all of this is we all experience fear. Successful people, however, they have something called courage, which is to act in spite of fear. And that's literally being able to recognize that you are not your emotions, you're not your thoughts. As you say, you watch them just, they pass by, and I think that's a principle you and I picked up on from Andy at Headspace, is being able to recognize that, you know, emotions and feelings and thoughts are like clouds, and they can sometimes block the sun and make you think that life is dark and doom and gloom. But the truth is, if you look a little higher, the sun is still there. So being able to recognize that this is fear that's holding you back, you can actually laugh about it and understand that there isn't actually anything to be negative about. And then the further step is understanding that what you focus on expands. So if you're giving your mind to negative thoughts or you're letting that negativity run wild, you're going to attract that because the universe doesn't have biases. It's not like it's not built up on morals here. This is about what you sow, what you put out, you get. So if you are feeding your subconscious negativity, it's just going to say, okay, and it's going to go to work for you and bring you more of that negativity. But if you are focusing on positive and nurturing thoughts, it's going to go to work for you and bring you positivity and great things that you desire. So awareness of these things allows for you to constantly check yourself and make sure that moment to moment you're monitoring your thoughts until it's automatic, and you're able to put these things in check so that you really are wholesomely, full-heartedly attracting what it is that you say you want for yourself.
It's all about feeding the wolf of life and starving the wolf of
Mm.
darkness. It's all about
Mm.
recognizing that potential in yourself to be negative, recognizing it, being aware of it, and then letting it go, and feeding the positive mindsets and feeding the positive thought patterns that you want to have. Because a lot of times we don't understand that we've been programmed since birth to think a certain way about ourselves, to act a certain way towards other people, and to expect certain type of things from our environment and from our life in general. But that's just our programming. That's not actually who we are. And once you take a step back and recognize that you are not your programming, you are not your reactions, and you are not all this negativity that society would have you believe for monetary purposes, you literally can choose the life you want to live. And that's the part that's kind of crazy because we're so stuck in this victim mentality that, oh, these things are happening to us instead of realizing that, I'm not sure if you can see it,
Yeah.
you're going to die one day.
Yeah. You're going to die.
So,
if we could stick right there before you go, I think there's a real cool opportunity right here to say a few things. Number one, I summed that up, and I heard this from Anthony Robbins, and also the author of Miracle Morning. His name is slipping my mind, but whatever the case, life is not happening to me, it's happening for me. Life is not happening to me, it's happening for me. And that's powerful because, and that requires an element of faith. And I'm not talking about in a deity or a religious sect. I'm talking about having faith that there's purpose to what you're doing here. This is, could you lay out some easy to understand steps for change? So there's someone watching this right now who maybe, if they gave themselves a quiz, maybe more than 50% of the time they would classify themselves as negative.
Or
what are
negative
some
people in their lives?
Or have negative people in their lives? What are some steps for change? Like, we're calling that AA hotline. It's like, I'm ready. What should they do?
Well, first of all, in regards to negative people in your life, just stop giving them your time. If you know that they're not, I like to quote my good mentor Dante Nero on this. He says that life is finite, and if you are in his life and you're negatively impacting it, neutral or not enhancing it in any way, he can't waste his time on people that are not adding or are subtracting from his life. So it's not that he necessarily cuts them off, it's that he stops associating with them. It's once again, you don't want to take this moral high ground. You must just become aware of what you're trying to do and who you're trying to be, and weigh the options of which people are helping you become your greatest self or enhancing your life, and whose lives that you're enhancing and that they are grateful of. Go ahead.
Now, that sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
That's a radical change. And I understand that to improve your situation, you have to be prepared to take that kind of grand risk. However, there are people who may be married, or, maybe they're in a high profile job where they can't just pivot out of it and leave it right away. I think the difference, you talked about disassociate, and I think that there's a recipe for disassociation.
When I say disassociate,
I think the moment that
when I say disassociate, I mean stop giving them your energy.
No, I understand, but you have someone that maybe you share a bed with, and divorcing them tomorrow isn't the answer. So what I'm saying is, I think that the moment you start to embody what you want to attract is going to single those people out who shouldn't be there, and they will themselves recognize either they need to change or they gotta keep it moving, because they'll find themselves trying to keep up. And the truth is, it takes more energy to perpetuate negativity than it does to give into the contagiousness of a positive environment. So again, let's say that I'm someone watching this, and maybe I myself am ready to lead a positive life, but I have maybe friends, colleagues, significant other who isn't in that place, and maybe they're still leading a negative mindset, a negative life. I think the recipe to creating that change is literally smiling more, learning to bless that which you want, learning to shut down negative thoughts, learning to uproot non-supportive beliefs about the self. And what's going to happen is the external world is going to start to fall in line. The universe works like that. Something crazy will happen to where the person that you're dealing with who's negative, for some reason they're just not there. Because again, they'll feel like this person, because they're constantly making me reevaluate my own shit. They choose a positive way and their life is better because of it. I want that. So I'm going to start to explore this positivity thing, because maybe there's something to it.
Yeah, it's none of this is easy. Okay, this takes conscious effort to do, especially coming out of negativity. It's like a symbiote. It's like a parasite. It latches onto you, and you both start to feed off of each other. You feed off the negativity, and the negativity feeds off you, and it becomes a parasitic relationship where one can't live without the other. Um, and it's rough. It takes time to reshape your thought patterns and reshape the uh, lifestyle and life projection you want to be on.
Mhm.
So just be
Mhm.
prepared to put in the work, because this does take work. Let's not get it twisted.
So tell what does that work look
The
like? I mean,
work
so
the
again,
work
bringing it back to like the day,
the day. Okay.
what should that?
Well, in a practical sense, this goes all the way back to last episodes in your micro habits. You have to consciously be aware of what you are watching. You have to
Mhm.
consciously be
Mhm.
aware of who you are listening to.
Mhm.
You have to consciously
Mhm.
be aware of the thought patterns that you are allowing to continue into your mind. That it all starts there. It all starts with yourself and what you're allowing to enter your space, and what energy you're allowing into your life. So say you're at your job
Mhm.
and you
Mhm.
guys usually have conversations about how bad your customers are,
Yep.
or how
Yep.
terrible working there is, and how and I'm guilty of this. Instead of feeding into that and having that conversation and feeding into that negative energy, how about you just not take part of those conversations? How
Mhm.
about you just walk
Mhm.
away and not give that type of negative energy your time and your thoughts?
Mhm. Mhm.
Instead of waking up in the morning and looking through Twitter, instead of looking through Instagram, why not wake up in the morning and listen to a good audiobook? Why not
Yep.
listen to a
Yep.
lecture? Why not listen to something that will stimulate positivity and have your day started out on a good note instead of a negative one? Instead of Start to weed out the people
Mhm.
that you
Mhm.
know are bringing you down. So say your friend wants to hang out this weekend, and all you guys ever do is smoke weed, play video games, and talk shit about everybody. He may be a really good friend of yours. Instead of hanging out with him that weekend, try to limit that to maybe once a month,
Mm-hmm.
2 times a month.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Don't, and I'm guilty of this. Don't completely cut them off, unless you know that's what you need to do, and that was what my case was. Um, because you still want to, like I said, you never want to see yourself as morally superior to anybody, because then you're automatically not. Everything is neutral, and we give situations their meaning. So why not give
Absolutely.
this meaning?
Absolutely.
Okay, he's on his path, and I'm on my path, and our paths are not necessarily going down the same road.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So why don't, instead of um, criticizing for him being on his path, why don't you just focus on your path?
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I think
go ahead.
I was going to say, I think that last piece there about focusing on your path, when you are focused on your mission, it makes it impossible to stay in a negative state. And it also makes it very difficult for others to distract you because you're here. A lot of people have this fear of going narrow and deep, and so they're very wide and shallow, trying to encompass so many things. But that's not how you achieve anything. You know, to achieve great results, you have to get hyper focused. You have to know what it is that you do and don't do. And I would even go as far as making a list of who some of those people are you need to start spending less time with. And it feels uncomfortable, but you start to realize that more than often you're letting your emotions run the show because you
Say that again, bro.
feel more than often you're letting your emotions run the show.
And what are emotions but temporary things?
That's all they are. That is it. So if you make a decision based off of feeling, you're going to regret it. If are laying in bed and you're supposed to be up at 5 a.m. and you snooze until 8, you're going to regret it. If you are, supposed to be having a better nutrition plan and you choose to eat chocolate because you feel like you want it, you'll regret it. You were going to say something, bro?
No, I was just saying, like, yeah, like,
Oh,
I
yeah,
be, I
yeah.
be,
No,
I
so,
be smacking that snooze button, bro. Like, I be like,
yeah, but
why,
you know what?
why,
You need to,
why
you
am I
need to
so tired?
click that option, no snooze, because there's something empowering just about keeping your word. And this is to everyone watching. If there's something that you've been doing and it's not working, stop right now. That is the exact definition of insane. It is time for you to try something new so that you can get to the place that you want to be. And I think that all of this conversation we've had today has to do with modeling. Modeling is the behavior in which we simply mirror what we've seen. We are constantly recycling what we have experienced, what we've seen from others, our verbal programming. So if you can recognize that, then that means it's time for you to find some new models. If you want to be a positive person, find someone positive and study them. What do they do? How do they move? How do they treat others? And that's with anything in life that you're trying to accomplish. Because I'm telling you now, you get so overworked or worked up or discouraged by the amount of work you think you have to do to get what you want. And it's like, stop reinventing the wheel. You have examples, many examples right in front of you. Go and read someone's biography about how they overcame adversity. And I guarantee you'll see a cohesive narrative, which is they suffocated negativity. They said no to the bullshit. They stopped believing their own thoughts and emotions because they recognize that they themselves are full of shit. And they said, I'm going to commit to being a positive person and acting in spite of fear.
Hey, man. And honestly, I think that's a good place to leave it, dog. Acting on your purpose instead of acting on your weak emotions and fear.
Yep.
Powerful stuff, man. I enjoy these conversations because they point out some areas that I need to focus on and things that I need to do to
Just
get
out
better.
here, bro. And I think what makes this so real is that you and I are two men who are out here, like, we're practitioners of this. You know, I'm not just spewing shit that I've heard from someone. Like, I'm out here every day, you know, trailblazing, you know, and I think the fact that even, you know, I struggle with this stuff. These aren't all things that I've solidified into my life, but I'm aware,
And once you're aware, you cease to be
you know.
controlled. Awareness brings the power back into your own hands.
Mm,
If you're not aware you're a slave, then you're a slave. But if you are aware that you are a slave, nobody can have your mind anymore. Nothing can have your mind anymore. You can be locked up, but you're still a free man.
yeah,
So until you're
yeah,
aware that you're locked up by negativity and negative people, you'll be a slave to negative thoughts and negative people. But once you become aware, then that's what we're trying to do is bring awareness to these things in your life.
yeah,
That's when you
yeah.
can start to shift your focus into things that you want to do and things and the person that you want to become.
Mm, mm.
But anyway, guys, it's been dope. Thank you, Devontae, for another dope episode. I know we're still trying to work out the kinks, or like we're still struggling out here. But like I said,
Hey, mindset. With that, we're getting better.
yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say, man. Come on now. But we're definitely improving, and we're trying to get this system down to bring you guys some good content. So definitely like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And yeah, man. Any last words you want to say, bro?
Yes, yes. Strive to shed non-supportive beliefs about yourself. If you hear yourself saying things like, I'm not good at, or I suck at this, or I hate this about myself, just challenge yourself for 7 days to speak only positive about yourself. And it's going to be hard because you're going to have a lot of that residual crap still processing and coming out from things that you've seen, heard, have said, experienced. But make it a real effort to not complain. No complaining. And you will notice the transformation in your day. And so as you see it happening, just correct it. No, I'm getting better at math. I'm getting better at managing my finances. I'm getting better at this skill. I'm getting better at being a partner to my significant other. Speak life into yourself. That's all I got to say. I know I've said a lot. I came and I learned some new stuff, and I talk to Donovan several times a week. So I hope that you soak something up from this. And most important, step by step, just try and apply a little bit of it and see how it goes for you. Let us know how it's going for you. We're here. Peace out, everyone.
Peace out. Like, comment, subscribe.